turning your passion into policy. That's why we advocates advocate, right? But how do we turn that passion into a practical policy? Keep watching this video to find out. Hi everyone, I'm David Smith, and I run Inthrive Advocacy Solutions, your solution for lobbying and advocacy. Before launching this firm, I was leading advocates in Virginia, and we brought real changes to our criminal justice system. I also worked for Delegate Kay Corey, where I ran her commerce and energy docket. Now, I'm bringing what I've learned through mentors and hard knocks to you. Welcome to Better Advocacy in 10 minutes or less. Oh, I like that. A series of videos helping you become a better advocate so you can turn your passion into policy. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. How you transform your passion into policy. Now, I could write a book about this topic probably, and one day may eventually actually do that. So today's going to be the 50,000-foot view. Okay, maybe a little higher than that. There, that's better. Now, so this video is going to show you at a very high level how to transform your passion into a policy ask, and then we'll look at two different paths to turn that policy ask into a policy reality. All right, you ready? Let's go. Your passion. Let's talk about this. What is your passion? What change do you want to make happen? Now, lots of people have ideas or causes they're passionate about, but not every idea makes good policy. Is your idea one that needs state government attention, or is it handled better in a different way? Does your idea make sense when you detach it from what you're passionate about? Now, see, personally, I love wild blackberries, and I want more brambles to forage from. But do I think it should be a crime to trim them so they don't become an impenetrable thicket? No. You see, not every idea makes good policy. Beyond that, passion can impede communication. Yes, it can. We get so caught up in our excitement that we don't communicate effectively. Our passion leads us to believe that our idea is self-evident, that there's no reason to oppose it. So we don't persuasively lay out our arguments, nor do we prepare a good strategy to push back against detractors. Also, let's be real, our passion can make us a little emotional sometimes. And when we get emotional, we don't always do the best job at communicating effectively and coherently. So let's try to step back from that emotional side of our passions and think about what is the essence of your passion. What is it you want to see change so that your passion becomes reality? When you answer that question in very specific terms, you have the basis for your policy idea. All right, let's start on that now. Your policy idea. Your policy idea is what you want to see change. You need to be able to succinctly explain your policy idea. Don't think essay or even a blog post. Instead, think bullet points. Yes, that's simple. It's that two-step method. Remember that video? If not, here's a link to it. The two-step method is here's the problem and here's the solution. But how do you make it a strong policy idea? First, you want to talk with other people to get their feedback. Make sure you're seeing things the right way and understand their perspectives. Then you want to see what other states are doing. Very few legislators want to be the first state to do anything. And then you talk to the legislators and administration officials about your policy idea, the problem and your solution. And then you take whatever feedback they might have that is actually applicable to achieving your goal. So you take all this together, and now you have crafted a solid policy idea. So how do you turn this policy idea into a policy reality? There are two paths you can take: the legislative and the executive or administrative. Now, technically, you can also go to the courts to turn your passion into policy, but that's a legal thing, and we're not going to get into that here. So let's start legislatively. This is what most people think of when they think of enacting policy. So to briefly review how you move your policy proposal to a bill, let's hit these points now. First, you have to find a patron. If you want to go into more detail on that, check out my Picking a Patron video. Next, you need to get that bill drafted. This is where you work with your patron to make sure all the ideas are included properly and that it's drafted by professionals in the legislative branch. Always, 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 I can't emphasize this enough, be sure to review their final draft before your patron submits it to the clerk. I've seen this not happen, and it's been pretty embarrassing for the legislator as well as for some advocates. So once it gets drafted and introduced, then you've got to guide it through the legislature. That means making sure it gets out of committee by addressing any opposition and getting it passed on the floor of both chambers. Unless you're in a unicameral chamber, yes, I'm looking at you, Nebraska. Finally, you got to get the governor to sign it. You do all this, and congratulations, your bill has become a law. But your work isn't over. You still need to make sure that that law is implemented. So your break can only last so long. Now, the other option is the administrative route, the executive branch. Instead of working through the legislative branch, you're now working through the executive branch. This doesn't mean you have to convince the governor necessarily. More than likely, you will be working with career bureaucrats who are more interested in solutions than the partisan politics you get with elected officials. This might even be the better route if you're experiencing legislative resistance or if your idea is very technical in nature. So, how do you do it this way? First, you identify the department that oversees the policy you want to change. Then, you meet with the key people in the department to talk about your idea, your policy ask. This is easier than you might think. Just email. Seriously. Find that organizational chart and start at the top and work your way down the flow chart until you get a yes. At that meeting, present your idea. Once again, remember that two-step method of problem and solution. If it's above their pay grade and they like the idea, they're going to make sure you get a meeting with a person that can actually get this policy implemented. But at the same time, be sure to use their feedback to craft a proposal. There are a lot of things that we might not realize about the way government works, and we don't find out about it until we have these meetings. So you might have to go back to the drawing board a little bit, but that's not a big deal. Then you continue to meet with those key decision makers and attend public meetings to encourage them to turn your proposal into a rule. Now you'll figure out who you need to convince by seeing who has the real power in these meetings. Now, once it becomes a rule, continue to monitor its implementation. Now, this may sound more complicated than the legislative process, but if you can create a relationship with key decision makers, it can be a much faster and more collaborative process than a bill. So you do all this, congratulations, your passion has become policy. Now, yes, you still have to monitor it, but when the department that's instituting your policy is the one who agreed to it, instead of having some legislators up there on Capitol Hill tell them what to do, the policy implementation usually, but not always, goes more smoothly. All right, well, thank you so much for watching this short training on turning your passion into policy. Like and subscribe to the Inthrive Advocacy channel to get notifications of new videos. And be sure to check back every Friday for a new, better advocacy in 10 minutes or less video.